Earthsea is a fantasy series by Ursula K. Guin, and from the start, she wanted her stories to do more than entertain. She wanted them to teach. Le Guin's stories explore complex ideas, subvert fantasy tropes, and challenge the conventions of the genre. She wasn't chasing commercial success, she was committed to telling radical stories that could change the way readers see the world. That's why Ged, the protagonist of the story, the hero, he isn't white, he's described as having red-brown skin. This was a deliberate reversal of the stereotypical white fantasy protagonist. Le Guin wanted to show a different type of hero, to show that heroes could look different. It might not sound revolutionary now, but in the 60s, she faced real resistance. By challenging the norms, Earthsea was in many ways sidelined through how it was marketed and presented. Publishers altered book covers to erase Ged entirely, or they lightened his skin, claiming a black or brown protagonist would hurt sales. Le Guin despised this. She could have played it safe, written whitewashed conventional stories that guaranteed bigger profits and wider popularity. But Le Guin didn't care about the money. She was interested in stories that asked questions and made readers think. Fantasy is often used as an escape from the real world, but Le Guin uses fantasy to help us see the real world more clearly, to remind us to challenge and question what we think we know, so that we might gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. All of the Earthsea books embody this philosophy. They all remain unique and powerful even decades after their publication. Let's explore the first 3 books to understand why the stories continue to stand apart. You can see the influence of the first book, A Wizard of Earthsea, right away. Harry Potter, Eragon, and The Name of the Wind, to name just a few, have all drawn from it. It features a wizard school on the island of Roke, much like Hogwarts, and its magic system, based on knowing the true name of things, is clearly seen in Eragon and The Name of the Wind. But despite these similarities, none of those books really feel like A Wizard of Earthsea. So what does Earthsea do differently? When you look at many of the best-selling fantasy stories today, a common theme stands out: the traumatized protagonist. Harry Potter, main character is an orphan. Eragon, orphan. Name of the Wind, orphan. A lot of the best-selling fantasy series, usually the main character is an orphan or they're a victim of some force beyond their control. And this type of character has become a staple of modern fantasy, and it's used in a way that cheapens the story a lot of the time. But Ged, the young wizard or protagonist of A Wizard of Earthsea, is different. His story is a coming-of-age tale, but it's not fueled by vengeance or tragedy. While Ged does grow up without a mother, there's no big traumatic backstory, no murdered parents, no epic quest for justice. His struggle comes from within. Ged's greatest enemy is himself. His great power is only matched by his great arrogance. He unleashes a terrible evil on the world because of his pride. His teachers warn him, but he ignores them. And unlike many other fantasy heroes, he doesn't get a pass because of a tragic past. He is fully responsible for his mistakes. There's no excuse, no scapegoat, and that sense of personal accountability is, I think, what makes Earthsea so refreshing. It's not about a victim rising against the world. It's about a flawed person trying to live by himself and fix the mistakes he makes along the way. And this is what makes Ged a character I think people can relate to. I do enjoy the Harry Potter stories and even a lot of the books I just mentioned, but I don't think you can really relate to any of those main characters. Now, if A Wizard of Earthsea is about confronting the self, the Tombs of Atuan is about escaping the prison of a false identity. So it's set over a decade later, and the story shifts to a new protagonist, Tanar, a girl taken from her family and raised to serve as the high priestess to a very old god. She is told she is Aha, the Eaten One, and is expected to dedicate her life to rituals she barely understands. So in this case, our main character in the story does have a traumatic past we're probably not going to be able to relate to. Though Tanar's trauma isn't sensationalized. The story isn't driven by revenge, rage, or hate. There are no sword fights, epic battles, evil wizards to defeat, and no quest for vengeance. It's a dark, quiet book where the real tension comes from within. Tanar slowly begins to question everything she has been taught, her role, her religion, her very sense of self. And Ged doesn't even appear until nearly halfway through the book, and when he does, he doesn't dominate the story. He plays a supporting role and becomes part of Tanar's journey, not the center of it. Her struggle isn't about mastering magic or defeating a villain. It's about reclaiming her name, her agency, and her humanity. Having a female protagonist that is not a side character, a prize to be won, was rare in the 60s and is still pretty rare to this day in fantasy. In most fantasy stories, we often see a male hero gain power to rescue a damsel in distress and defeat some great evil. Guin flips that script. In the Tombs of Atuan, Tanar begins to save herself and eventually Ged, not by seizing power, but by rejecting the power that was forced upon her. She isn't driven by a desire for vengeance or justice in the traditional sense. Instead, her goal is to shed the roles imposed on her and begin a journey defined on her own terms. Out of the first 3 Earthsea books, I think this one is my favorite just because it's so different than traditional fantasy books. The Farthest Shore, I think, actually is the closest to a traditional fantasy book, and its plot is essentially a stripped-down version of the final act of Harry Potter. A wise old wizard and a young companion leave their magical school to hunt down a dark wizard who's found a way to defy death. They uncover a secret, cross into the realm of the dead, and restore balance through great sacrifice. In this book, Ged is no longer a young man. He's the archmage of Earthsea at the height of his wisdom and strength, and together with a young prince named Aaron, Ged sets out on a journey to save the world from a growing evil that is draining the magic from the world. All Earthsea books have lessons. In this book, the villain isn't just a danger to be defeated, he's a warning. A cautionary tale about what happens when fear outweighs wisdom. The Farthest Shore is a meditation on death and how the desperate attempt to escape it is not only impossible, but it's also unwise. Guin isn't interested in fantasy as wish fulfillment or comfort. She's writing about what it means to accept loss, to age, and to step aside. Earthsea is a series of coming-of-age stories following Ged, Tanar, and Aaron, as they each grapple with identity growth and the choices that define them. And through Ged, we actually witness the full arc of life. The first book, he's a reckless youth. The second book, he's a mature adult. By the third book, he is an aging leader. Earthsea is technically a young adult series, and what I love about Guin is she never talks down to her audience. She doesn't shy away from themes like personal responsibility, nor does she make excuses for her protagonists. She refuses to reduce trauma to a motivation for revenge, and she doesn't gloss over the reality of death. Instead, she treats her readers, young or old, with respect, offering stories that are honest, thoughtful, and deeply human. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.